the classes, and I'm posting them up on YouTube so that if you want to review something or go back, if you have to leave early or something during a class, you can let me know and we can coordinate so that you can catch it on YouTube. So good afternoon. We're in a room that's bigger than it needs to be. That's not lean, but that's where we're at. That's cool. We got room for more people. I'll probably rearrange the furniture next time. I didn't know we were going to be here until about 10 minutes ago. So maybe I should have known that, and maybe I forgot. I don't know. But anyway, we are here for through December, through Christmas for sure. The next module, we may be back in the tiered classroom up in the corner, which those of you that were with us last course, that's where we were, and we may wind up there in January. We've got it reserved, so we'll see how that goes. And that's a class on budgeting and finance and running your business and understanding cash and cash flow and that kind of stuff. And it'll be appropriate for most of you that are in supervisory roles or are in management roles or senior management roles or are headed that way at some point in time. And you'll want to grab some stuff because a lot of times the finance is just so far over people's heads. You got to go get an accounting degree to do it, and that's not what you need to run business. You just need to know how much money's in your pocket and how much people owe you, and how to manage that so that you make a profit at the end of the year. You've got money left in your pocket. That's what it's all about, and we'll talk about that. How to read a financial statement, stuff like that. But my experience is real world. I'll get to know you all a little bit better in time. I have side work that I do. I've been in the consulting arena for a long time. I've managed a lot of companies and as well, two of them public companies. So I understand what it's like to talk to the Wall Street Journal guys, and I also understand what it's like to make a mistake in talking to the Wall Street Journal guys. I talked to them one time in Genoa, Italy, and by telling them they were interested in some technology we had on a radar antenna for cancer treatment, and I told them about it because we were patent applied for in the United States, and I'm an idiot. I did not know that by talking about it in Europe, I avoided our opportunity to patent the technology. I don't know what that cost the company, but it was a bad mistake. And we can make mistakes like that if nobody's taught us. And I was learning from scratch, and I learned a lesson then that I will never forget. And we'll share lessons like that. This morning at 7 o'clock, I was in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay pitching 3 investors to put $10 million in a company here in St. George. Don't know if they will do it or not, but that's the kind of thing that I'll bring to the class. I'll let you know if we're successful. I'll let you know if we blew it. Because we always autopsy stuff. When we do a management move, we check it out in retrospect and go, was that smart? If we knew what we know now, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm pretty sure that there's a quarterback that would have done things a little bit different if he could play last night's game over again, right? And maybe the outcome of the game would have turned out differently with that Monday morning quarterbacking. So we always do that. Make a sales call, make a pitch, have a meeting with an employee, have a meeting with the management team, talk about it afterwards. How many have been in the military in this room? Thank you. I'll find out more about what you've done, and I appreciate that. Military is the best there is at teaching, I hope, at teaching leadership. When you think about it, our U.S. military should be the best in the world, right? That's what we're hoping for. So that means that West Point graduates, Annapolis graduates, Air Force Academy graduates should be the best leaders in the world. Now, the rules are a little bit different in military. You're not going to get fired unless you really screw up. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, you will stay in the military for a career. So people can bark at you and get by with it. Where in private business, if I bark at people, they leave, right? Military, they don't tend to leave as often. And so the rules are a little bit different from that point of view. Thanks for sitting up front. That's awesome. We're going to have to probably rearrange the furniture anyway because this is too far away for most everybody. But the military has got some stuff that we're going to draw from and borrow from throughout this class in terms of project management. Guess who started project management? The Navy. The first big project management organized processes were developed in the 1940s and 50s by the United States Navy to build cool stuff and bring it in on time and on budget. And that went all the way to the Pentagon. It was managed from the Pentagon. So when we talk about project management, we're talking about leadership, and we're mixing in a lot of other stuff with it. We'll do some introductions, and today's kind of a get off the ground. We got new faces to me in the room, people that I haven't met yet, and I think that there's probably some people that you haven't met either. If you're one of the new faces, especially, maybe all of us have people in this room that we haven't met. So we'll get acquainted a little bit today. We'll establish some ground rules. I need to do some orientation. That's a college practice when we have a new class. You are, by the way, if you haven't digested it yet, you are in college. This is a legitimate college class. It's a legitimate college course. If you've never been in college before, you can hold your head high and go home and tell the people you live with you're in college. This is a real deal. And because it's a real deal, we're all adults. None of us are kids, right? We got the youngest one in the room, and I'll pick on a little bit, probably the youngest one in the room. I'm not sure. I may be the oldest one in the room, so we'll balance things out pretty well. We're here because we want to be here. We're here because we've got some skills that we're trying to dial up in our game. We've got some things that we want to add to our resume. We've got some stuff that we want to be able to go back at work and do. Or maybe it's stuff that you're waiting to do in your own company, that you're going to start something. And I hope that's the case for several of you. I'd like to be around as you make that journey, and like to help talk with you as you think through what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and make plans. We'll probably get to know each other a little bit, where you care to share the kinds of things that you would like to do. If you don't, that's fine. This class has a few ground rules that we will talk about. One of them is we will hold what we say in this room confidential, and I'm going to expect that of you. I will tell stories, and from time to time, about companies here in town, companies I've worked with, companies that I know, and from time to time I may talk about somebody that you know too. And I may talk about them making a bonehead decision, and I'm not deriding anybody. We've all made bonehead decisions. Just as we look at businesses around us, we see them making mistakes. And if it happens to be somebody we know and love, we ought to get in there and help them. Otherwise, it's a learning theater that we have right here in town, that we can look at businesses and we can see the things they're doing well, and we can see that the things that they're doing poorly. And it may be insignificant things. We were talking about pink box donuts in a class a couple of days ago, and some of you were excited when they came to town, and they've been promising like for 2 years that they're going to open a donut shop on St. George Boulevard, and it fell through a few times, and finally they got it together and they painted the whole place pink, and they had a grand opening, and cars were lined up out on St. George Boulevard. They screwed up the business at Dixie four-wheel off-road across the side street from them. They got deluged with cars in line. And as we would look at how they did that opening, you go look and you do a drive-through, you look at their menu board, and they got 75 kinds of donuts. Do you want to wait in line while the guy in the Prius in front of you is reading all 75 donut types and asking questions about it? The answer is no. And plus, you got to get real close to read all 75. The print on the menu board is super, super small. Now, that may be a fine company. Hope they are. They've been successful in Vegas. But even a fine company has room for improvement, don't they? Isn't that something we talk about in this course? We're talking about management. We're talking about being part of the team that's thinking through what your company is doing. And you're part of the team that is contributing to say, hey, hold on. Nobody in this line has ever been to Pink Box Donuts before. What do you say we have a fast and easy 1 dozen sampler? and it's got this, and this in it. You don't choose. We got them pre-made, and we push people through the drive-through. Some people say, I don't want to do that. I want to pick up my own. Okay, it's fine. But we find a way to speed up the process. What's that do? That speeds up the ding ding on the cash register. You speed up the cash register, that's a good thing for your business usually, right? And so that's what we would be wanting to think about if we own the Pink Box Donut Shop. And I'm not dissing it, by the way. I'm just observing, saying they cost themselves some money as they've done their soft opening here in St. George. And if that was your company, you might wish that that you could do that one over again. It's a small thing, but small things add up. So we're going to talk about Agile in this class. Who knows where Agile came from? I don't either. I was hoping somebody knew. They just started doing it. It came from rugby, and it seemed that rugby was kind of a thing out of control. Yet teams were winning, and teams were losing. So what's the difference between teams that win and teams that lose? They manage the game differently, and it's a game that most of us in the United States aren't as familiar with as we maybe would like to. We've got a little amateur rugby club here in St. George, and I've never been to a game. And I never played as a kid. I don't know the rules like I would need to if I was going to actually learn something from the game. But I know how Agile works and how the rugby applies to a scrum and the other the stories and the other terms that we're going to learn, because we're going to learn it that Agile is a way that we can manage our lives a little bit better. It's a way that we can manage projects at work a little bit better. And one of the principles that we're going to learn, it's about breaking things down into very small bite sizes. Well, my mom told me that. Right? This isn't a big news flash. It's stuff that we know, but it's applying what we know that your mom taught you in running part of your business. We also are going to be using what's called the PMBOK. That's a weird thing. It's like, can you sell me a vowel? There's one, PMBOK. That kind of looks like somebody's name on the back of a football jersey that was recruited from another place, right? And it's not. It's pronounced PMBOK. It stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's their standardized body of knowledge. And we're going to learn about that. And it applies to project management, and it applies to business management. It applies to business ownership. It applies to wherever you find yourself in a business and wherever you're tracking to go. The skill sets that are taught here will be of value. Now, these two are in the process of merging. So let me answer a little bit more of my first question. Where did Agile come from? I said rugby, and it did. But it really was adopted by the software development world, the software community. The software community, have you ever tried to manage something that you can't see? Let's say we're a team, all of us in this room, we're going to come up with a great new app that's a game. And it's a revenue-generating game, and it's going to go on everybody's cell phone, regardless of which brand you have. And we're going to work on that thing together, and we're going to launch it. And I make a phone call to the Consumer Electronics Show, and I say, guys, we got something cool coming down the pipe. It's never been done before. We're going to run EA Sports out. We're going to give them a run for their money. It's no longer going to be, whatever the big game is right now. It's going to be ours. It's the one we develop it. The show will come and go, and we won't have any idea where we're at. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What was our piece? How's the project coming? And software, if you've noticed, never gets, there's always Microsoft hasn't figured out Windows yet, right? There's a revision and a revision and a revision and a revision. It evolves. So how do you cut it off and have a product and go to market? How do you manage that? Bill Gates has been at it for a long time now. And there's still those of us that wish they were better at it, right? And so how do we manage software development where you can't see progress? You just got to trust the guy in the dark room that stays up all night with his computer, that he's not playing games, that he's working on your game. And how do you know how much progress he made last night? Well, we needed a tool. And so Agile became a tool. Before Agile, there was something that was called Waterfall. Some of you may have been trained in Waterfall. And if you are, you'll have a little bit of a head start, because Agile is kind of built off of some of the promises in Waterfall. The software industry became quite successful in using the tool of Agile. And we have right around this building right here, we've got a software company in that hangar over there. We've got a software company in this new building right over here. We've got a software company down at the other end of the runway in another old hangar that has 90 desks in it. 90 software developers in a desk. Can you imagine, knowing where they're at? And the tools that they're using are tools like these in order to get their product to market. So the rest of the world, this part of the world, said, hey, this is working in software management. Can we take pieces and steal pieces from what you're doing and blend it with what we already are doing and what we already know, and make a tool that's useful? And so the answer has evolved, and the answer is becoming yes. And right now, if you buy this book from the PMI, the Project Management Institute, you have an opportunity to buy one of these. If you like books, I would suggest you buy them. If you are going to take a test, which you don't have to do, that gives you a certification that does go on your resume, it is a lifetime certification, does not require a recert. It's expensive. It's $555 to take the test. And so if you can talk your boss into that and you feel that you're ready from our class, you will be. We will have discussed everything necessary to compete on that test and to successfully take it. It is a pass-fail test, and it's not a cakewalk. But we want people to be competent, right? We want people to be able to use their skills, and that's what this class is about, is getting you all to the point that you could take that test if you wanted to take it. You won't have to take it at all. You can use the skills in your everyday life as a dad. You don't even have to be in business to use the skills. These are life skills at getting things done and getting them done efficiently. But if you don't want to buy the book, I have already posted a PDF version of both of them on Canvas. You don't have Canvas yet. I've published it, but I haven't put your emails address in there yet, because we're going to collect emails tonight, and hopefully on the sign-in sheet you have the email address you want me to use in Canvas to get you into Canvas. So if you got a different one, sometime when we take a break, change your email address there so that when I enter it in, I can get it entered correctly, and that will then give you access to both of these books, the PDF version. I didn't steal them. PMI has made the PDF available, and so I just took it and put it online for you all to look at. I didn't put it on open public online, because I don't know how sensitive they are about it. They do make it available for free. So you have a PDF version of it that will be available to if you want, but if you're like me, you like to have one that you can earmark and put sticky notes on and do stuff like that if you're going to take the exam. This has some practice exam questions in it too, and we will go over some of those in class. Let me think about the introductory things we have to do, and I don't even know. I got 4 screens. That's way too many. I don't know if I can talk to them all or not. I'll test that, and I should have been here earlier for class, and that's bad form. Those of you that were here on time, thank you. And I don't know how you figured out the room change, but thank you for doing that too. Maybe we've got some people sitting up in the room now. I don't know. The things we need to know. One, this is a college and you're in it. And be proud of that. Tell your family that for sure. That you're going to college, you're going on 2 nights a week, and that's a big deal. That's a big life event. That matters a lot. I'm proud to have you in the class. I hope that you will become as proud to be in the class and that you will take whatever it is that you're looking for out. We get out of school what we put in. That's always been the case. And we went to a lot of school because we didn't want to go, or we just had to. You were truant. If you didn't, it was against the law to skip school, and you got in trouble for doing that. This is different now. You're here because you're polishing your skill sets. You're adding to your game. And because of that, I will try to start class on time every time. On occasion, we might let out a few minutes earlier, but I promise that more often and then don't deliver it. But I won't hold you late. 8:15 will be the time class will be done, if not a little bit before. We are an informal class, which means that in spite of the fact that I'm running my mouth up here now, that's not fun. It's hard for you that have all worked a day, all day, a long day. Some of you started at, early in the morning, and we'll start early in the morning again tomorrow. So it's a family sacrifice for you to be here. I respect that. And we have, as a college, a few things that we need to be aware of. The class will be informal, so you can interrupt me. If you got a question, ask it. I'll remember where we are and come back to it. And apparently the screen has less patience from it's put itself to sleep already. So please don't hold a question and wish you asked it later and you forget. Please interrupt if you've got a question, or even if it's not 100% on topic. I'm okay with that. If it needs further conversation, we can have a side conversation, and I'm happy to do that as well. So if you've got real world questions or things, or just you want an opinion on it, please, I don't charge anything for that, so please feel free to ask. We all carry a cell phone in their pocket, and they all go off when they're not supposed to, or when it's the quietest in the room, something like that. I try to shut mine on to buzz or stun or whatever it is, but I forget that sometimes. And so if you forget and your phone rings, that's quite all right. Just be respectful of everyone else. If you are needing to take a call and that call occurs during class, please step out and do what's necessary. If you don't need to interrupt, that's better, but it's certainly not against our rules for you to have your cell phone. In fact, I will ask you during class a number of times to Google something and see if my facts are right. And you're welcome to do that. I would just please ask you not to text your boyfriend or text your girlfriend during class. That can be done at break or afterwards in class. That may be distracting to other people as well. So if you're on your phone, hopefully it's doing something absolutely necessary, or checking to tell you if I'm telling you the truth. And researching things that come up in class, our brains sometimes think of something similar or something that we wonder about, and we take a second and Google it. We all do that, and that's fine in this class. There's no ground rules against that. You need to know the way out of the building if something bad happens in the building. And we're in a different room. We haven't had a chance to explore where the exits are. You came up maybe an elevator, in which case in most emergencies they ask us not to use the elevator. Know where the emergency exit steps are at. There are some in that direction. There's some in the middle of the lobby that are open, and there are some in that direction. The reason for your exit might be different depending on the circumstances. If the building's on fire in a place or there's an emergency of some sort that we need to evacuate, that would be one circumstance. A graver circumstance would be in the event of an active shooter in the building. Schools are still targets in the United States. We try to make this school a hard target rather than a soft target. And what that translates to is that if you have a training and you have a carry permit, we invite you to carry on this school. It is legal for you to conceal carry or to open carry without a permit in this school and in this state. I should be broader on that. That's not just a special school rule, that's a state rule. And if you are comfortable doing that, it's fine for you to do that here. You don't have to, some people think that in school, it's a school zone and you have to leave your guns at home. We're not encouraging you to change your politics or to change your belief set. You have your belief set, and I'm not here to judge you on that. But if you do are comfortable and trained to carry our college administration thinks that that's a way to send a message that this is not a soft target. We don't have drive-by shootings at the police station. Nobody shoots up the police department. And why? Is because they know the cops will shoot back. And so this college trains instructors and faculty and staff to carry and encourages them to do if it's within their belief set. So most of the instructors that you see in this campus are carrying, and that's not designed for anything. I'm not trying to bend your personal viewpoint on that. You're totally entitled to whether you want to do or what you feel about that. And if you want to talk about it further offline, I'd be happy to visit with you and explore thought process. I'm just giving you kind of the party line for the college. And so far, we've been successful with that. We have St. George Police Department, the FBI do training here on what to do with active shooters, and they ask us to do that training to every class that we have here, so that students here know that we're prepared and that you can be part of that resistance if there's the event of the unthinkable. We've had bad events happen in Las Vegas, very close to here, with a guy that lived in Mesquite, and we didn't see that coming and don't know about that. It's just kind of horrific to think we live in a world where these are conversations that we have to have, but they are conversations that we have to have. And so we're having it on the first day of class, and that will be the only day. I will show a short video, and this is a test video. This was done by another college, and I have had one some of you have seen that we have used for active training, active shooter in the building. I won't show that. I will show a shorter one today before we're done. And so that will be, if you've got questions or comments or thoughts about that, feel free to talk to me about that. We have AEDs. Those are defibrillators. If I'm probably the most likely candidate to have a heart attack. I'm the fattest in the room, and I'm the oldest in the room. So if that happens, and I'm not planning on it, by the way. I don't have a heart situation. But if that happens to anybody, if we have a circumstance, we had a 23-year-old girl have a heart attack on this campus, and it took us too long to respond to her. She was okay, but it took us too long to respond to her just a couple months ago. So this is viable training for all age groups. We have a defibrillator in the hallway. It's marked about mid-hallway. Locate it sometime when you're out on break where it's at. So if we have an emergency here and someone needs a jump start, if I'm laying down here, please jump start me. I would appreciate that forever. If you did that, someone needs to call 911. Someone needs to manage the jump starting. Hopefully somebody that's trained. If you have CPR training, would you please raise your hand? About maybe a third of you have been trained, so please don't stand back if we have an emergency that we witness that someone either here. We've had a student in this class stand up and hit his head on a beam in a different classroom, not this room, and had a stroke from the impact on just standing up and hitting his head on the beam. And so freak accidents can happen right here in school. With our class, I've had 3 in recent years in the class just like this, and we don't expect them, but we want to be prepared for that as friends to make sure that we get help if that's needed. A further benefit we have, if something is to happen on this in this floor of the campus, one floor above on the 3rd floor, we have night classes in the medical department, and most of the instructors there are advanced paramedics or better, have spent a lot of years in emergency response. And so if we have something that you think needs help, make sure somebody's dispatched to call 911. Maybe make sure somebody is actively trying to help, and the team hopefully trying to help while we're waiting for the pros to get here, and somebody go upstairs and find somebody that's qualified to come down and help. That's the fastest way to get help from 3 ways: from ourselves, from 911, and then from whoever. These guys teach the responders at the hospital and And so they're very qualified, depending on who's here on a given night. And that goes for whether we're having an official emergency or you just have a curiosity about something. They're up there, and they teach this stuff all the time. And so feel free to get to know them and say hi and ask your questions. Just be careful. They teach phlebotomy up there, too. They try to take a blood sample from you if you're not careful. And you got to be willing for that one, I think. Okay. I left out some stuff, probably. I talked about Canvas. I'm not very good at Canvas, and I apologize for that in advance, but I'm getting better, and my objective is to have all the pertinent materials that we talk about in this class available to you on Canvas. We will have a syllabus that I will distribute to you, target on Thursday. I'm waiting for a couple of confirmations before I give that to you. And that will have the assignments for the class on it, listed out of what the expectations are, what assignments there will be. A few things that you should know about assignments. I don't do tons and tons of assignments. You're here because you want to learn. Go for it. I'm here to help you, and I'll answer questions as necessary. But I'm not a slave driver. I don't think that pushing people to memorize all kinds of stuff is beneficial in the real world. My philosophy on that actually is that memorization is a problem in our world. The information that we need to know is changing so fast that if we rely on what we memorized, we're giving old information out. And that's not a good idea. If I go to my doctor and ask for a prescription for something in my throat, and he throws something to me that he memorized 20 years ago in med school, those drugs are off the market now, probably. They've been eclipsed with stuff that's better. And I want my doctor to be up to speed with what's current, so I don't care if he's memorized it or not. I just care he knows where to find it. Look it up. Don't guess. Look it up. And so I give tests that way. Don't guess. Look it up. Our world is a look it up world. Get it right. We can't believe everything we look up, so look it up and sort for the stuff that's believable. We even had a class on that, some of you that were in. We can't believe everything you see on the internet, and you can't believe everything you see on TV. We all know that. So how do you decipher? How do you sort stuff? That's something that I do want you to practice doing. Just because somebody says it's so, you can YouTube, how to replace the alternator on your car, and as often as not, the procedure you read will be wrong. It'll be for a car similar to yours, but not exactly, and it'll have the wrong size wrench or something. You figure it out, but it's still a little bit wrong. So don't believe everything we look up, but use that as a basis. So when I give an exam or a test, it will be open book, which means you can look it up, and it usually will be assigned for you to take with you and bring back. We will have a few of those here because some of you are preparing to take the PMI exam. And so we'll have some examples of that, some test questions and so forth during the course, and those will be posted on Canvas when the time is right. So that's kind of what will be expected in the way of there will be a project, and you'll make a presentation on the project, because one of the things in project management is you got to talk about your results. And maybe you have to answer questions about why you're late or why you're over budget or why, what's going on with the project. And the difficult thing about project management is that we are trying to influence people that don't report to us in most cases. We are trying to get things done with people that report to somebody else, and they may even work for a whole different company. It may be a subcontractor, it may be a supplier, and we're trying to influence them so my project comes in correctly, on time and on budget. And I don't want excuses from, that we bought that. Nobody could buy toilet paper because there was a problem with toilet paper. Well, we all know that there have been supply chain problems, but what are you going to do on your project about that? So that's kind of where we're at. What I leave out, I'll think of it. When I do, I'll talk about it. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to have some kind of informal introductions of who's in the room. And to do that, I'm rather than have you interview other people, which I often like to do tonight, it's going to take a little longer, and I'd rather not spend that time that way tonight. I want to do some introduction of Agile and some other things. And we got a project that I want us to do. I've got supplies up here, and we're going to build some towers, and I want us to have time to do that without getting bogged down and stuff. So I'd like to go around the room. I'd like each of you, when it's your turn, I'd like you to stand up. You don't have to come to the front of the room, but I would like you to stand up. I would like you to introduce your name, first and last, first as far as what you care to be called. It doesn't have to be your formal first name, but what you go by or what you want to go by in this room. And I'd like to know if you are employed. I'd like to know where you're employed, kind of what you do. If you're a full-time student, that's awesome. That's say so, and just let us know. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are about if your experience in the idea of project management. So if you've not formally held the title as project manager, that's okay. Most of us have not, but we've all been managing projects ever since we had a kid brother and we were little kids. We've been managing stuff. What is a project, by the way? It's the title of the course. What's a project? What do you think?
Body of work, something that needs to get done.
You're on the right track. It's something you need to get done. How often does it come up? The definition of a project is, we'll find out more officially in the PMI world, the definition of a project is something that doesn't recur. It's kind of a one-time shot. It comes up, you bought a new saw. You got to find a place for it. You got to map out the flow on the shop floor. You got to set it. That's a project. You're not going to buy a new saw every week, you know. But if you're changing a production from making a cabinet door, that's something you hope to do next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. That's not a project. Maybe a project is set up the process, because that's once it's set up, you hope not to touch it. You have to standardize it, right? Because y'all remember, a process that is not standardized cannot be improved. I got to quote that every class we have. A process that has not been standardized cannot be improved. So a process of collecting money, a process for investing, a process for thinking about how you're going to hire somebody, a process for manufacturing something, a process for designing something. Those are all processes. And a process that hasn't been standardized can't be improved. And so if we want to improve those processes, we make a project out of improving the process. That could be a Kaizen Blitz project. It could be a Greenbelt project, a Lean Six Sigma Greenbelt project. It could be lots of things like that, but a project by definition is something that normally doesn't repeat. It's a one-time shot. You're going to do it. And as a one-time shot, what that means is we're not good at it because we've not done it before, right? So we're all winging it. You know, when you know, one of the projects that I watched from a far distance that I thought was pretty awesome, we had a company in town called Viracon, and Viracon was making lights when the Twin Towers were destroyed in the terrorist attack of 9/11. Some of you are old enough that you remember that. Some of you in this room don't actually remember that. But it was a mark in American history. And so downtown Manhattan, I mean, I remember flying into Manhattan lots and lots and lots of times. I lived out there. I flew in sometimes every morning and flew out every night. And you know, those were marks in the skyline. And y'all had seen T-shirts with them on it and so forth. And that was destroyed in a fell swoop. And America was on our knees. We were like, oh, that hurt. That hurt. How did that happen? How can we keep that from happening again? And how do we erase that mark in Lower Manhattan? And so there was a plan almost, I mean, lightning fast. There was a plan to build a Freedom Tower there to take the place on the same land. Has anybody visited the Freedom Tower in Manhattan? If you get a chance, do. And there's a memorial park there for the 3,300 that died on that site. And it's a life experience that you ought to do. But building the Freedom Towers was one of the fastest skyscrapers I've ever seen built. I have no idea how they did it, but it was like everybody was in a hurry to let's do this, let's do it right. We had the attention of America. And much of the glass came from Fort Pierce Industrial Park for that building. And so it was cool watching how the project manager was just metering out the glass for that. Put RFIDs on every window, they call them a light. That's a light, that's a light, that's a light, that's a light. And they put an RFID on so they could track where it was at in a semi-truck, so there was no digging through and looking for stuff. And every light has, even these have a little number somewhere on them down by the glue joint where they have a serial number on them. In case they fall out of the window, they know if there was an adhesive problem or a fastening problem, or where, they know exactly, they trace that glass from where it came from. And so when you're building the building, you can't just put that one over there. You have to put that one there because that's what the drawings call for. That's got a serial number for that window hole. And a skyscraper, how many window holes does it have? It's just got a ton of them. Just coordinate that. Don't think about anything else in a high-rise building like that. I think that should take a couple of years to get that figured out, right? We didn't. We built that skyscraper in months. And we've not done that in America before at that speed and that height of a building. And so that happened with a team of project managers. Guys just like us that said, let's do this better than this has been done before. Let's do it right. And let's be proud of what we do. And that's kind of why we're going through this tonight, not for the Freedom Tower, but because we all got our own Freedom Towers, don't we? We got our own little projects that we are working on. So, to introduce yourself, your name, slow enough that I can understand it, please, and everybody else. Where you work, if you care to share that. If you're a full-time student, share that. And if you have experience managing projects, share that. With a little bit of an explanation as to kind of what projects they are, what type of projects. Maybe you've run a scout troop. Maybe maybe the projects aren't projects at work, but nonetheless, there are things that come up that have to be done. They have to be done right, and they're not repeating. It's kind of one of a kind of thing. I will start, Brendan, with you because you always like to go last. We'll start with you. Stand up if you would. And we're going to go to Eric and to go down this way. We'll wind back this way. We'll wind back that way, and we'll end up with me. Okay.
My name's Brennan. I am employed as a mechanic for Hot Shots Mobile Repair, and I don't have experience in
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Aaron. Work at Stewart Awning and run a crew over there and do project managing every day. Without it, time stands still, I feel like.
So did y'all hear where he works? Say it again.
Stewart Awning.
And what all does Stewart Awning do?
Patio covers, outdoor kitchens, solar screens, all stuff.
Actually, it's quite more than just awnings. I kind of laughed at myself too when I said that. Yeah, you do quite a few things more. You've got a outdoor kitchen group that sells stuff that's like more expensive than most indoor kitchens. Pretty cool stuff if you haven't seen their stuff. You got a showroom down there, right on River Road to the right-hand side, and you got some warehouses elsewhere. And in St. George, we have sun. And if your back patio did not come with a way to shade that sun, you need to know Eric. All right, Cal.
I'm Callie. I work full-time in store clients, and I don't have any experience in project management.
Okay. And before that, I remember you sharing with us you were at Balance of Nature. So you bring experience out of that as well, and you observed projects, good and bad there.
Little ones.
Yeah. Projects don't have to be the Freedom Towers to be a project. Just getting your fingernails done is a project sometimes.
I'm Joshua. I work at Jones Paint and Glass. I'm an assistant coach for a small club swim team. I'm small management stuff with cabinets and doors.
Welcome.
I'm Landon. I work at Big Ben's Moving Company, and
Every time you guys move something, it's a project though, isn't it? Just getting it in and out. If you don't know Big Ben's Moving Company, I love these guys. They come in and out of your place. They got load trailers. They got teams of guys that just make it. is done, and charge fair prices, and, you know, I'm a customer, so I have the right to say all that stuff. I give that company 5 stars if you're moving something from the piano to a storage unit you wanna empty out, or if you wanna move out of state, please don't, but, make it arrange that.
Hello, my name is Mitch Hobson. I work for Wiley Wall Bids. I'm the facility coordinator for them, and I've been working there for about 12 years. We've had projects on and off come along. We've had quite a few of them, but yeah, nice to meet y'all.
Glad you're here, and we'll be hearing a lot about Wilding, because we've got some history. I learned a little bit about Wilding.
My name is Andrew Strigham, shop manager for Wilding Wall Bits, and every day there's a new project. Currently in the middle of a big project, we're revamping the whole system, trying to get better, trying to get more efficient, so.
Yeah, that's about as big a project as we normally will run into in our travels, is saying, we're gonna completely remap the production flow. That is an enormous project, and lots and lots of ways it can go wrong. More ways that it can go wrong than going right. And so managing those things, you know, betting the farm, really, you know, because if you don't get it right, it's a significant problem. So we'll be vicariously tagging along on that as it unfolds.
Thomas Nelson. I work at Camping World. I'm a product specialist advisor. I do have experience as a store manager for O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I was hired here at Camping World under the idea that I'm going to replace the store manager. So.
Wow. Well, good luck with that. Clarify for me, Camping World is owned by?
Marcus Lemonis.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify that. If y'all, what's his TV show? The
I don't
Prof-
know. I didn't even know he had a TV show.
He does, The
Oh.
Prophet or something like that. I think that's what it is. Interesting business model he has, and it'd be kind of cool to be working in a company that he's got a touch in managing. He has a lot of experience across the country with lots of kinds of businesses, and I had heard that he had not just bought in, but had maintained ownership in Camping World, and that's very interesting. And to me, that's very interesting, because he's in and out of a ton of different kinds of businesses and has a team of people that help him, and he's an excellent advisor. Seeing the obvious in some cases, what's holding your company back, and you know, drawing in, bringing in the right people, and so you probably get a front row seat at some stuff, and that's kind of cool.
Well, it's an interesting organization. I mean, Camping World is designed around like 7 different companies that he owns, that he's bought out.
Okay.
And so, like the retail store is a different company from the sales, and the service is a different company from sales and retail. And so they also have 2 different parts departments. They have the retail parts department, and then they have OEM parts department.
Wow.
And so,
We're gonna have to learn about that together. I think that's very interesting, and we will talk about that a little bit in classes as I learn a little bit more about it, because that's fascinating to me. And when you look at, you know, Camping World is, if you've not been in and visited, we're talking about, you know, $1.5 million RVs, you know, we're talking about high-end stuff, not every one, but, you know, certainly a bunch of them. And it's a big ticket business, a very big ticket business, and has a potential for high margin, has a potential for putting you in the ditch. This inventory flooring, the cost of money at that price point, you know, I don't know how many fifth wheelers you have in inventory at any given time, but it's a lot of it at a bunch of money, $250,000 a piece or $500,000 a piece. And you see a line of those, and you go, you know, that's, what's the interest payment on that per minute? You know, it's a lot to own inventory like that is seasonal. It's iffy. If you sell it, you're competing with the internet. You're competing with retired people that are trying to dump something they got. You're competing with a whole lot. It's an interesting business, and I'll be glad you're here. We'll learn more. Larry.
I'm Larry. I used to work at Wild and Wild Beds as Andrew's assistant, or whichever you want to call it. We have quite a few projects, like you said, revamping for even TV cabinets that we're trying to streamline. So we've got quite a bit going on there.
Okay, thank you.
I am Theo Brady. I work at Wilding Wallbeds too. I'm our purchasing and inventory coordinator. We do projects all the time. Projects are a good portion of my day. We actually just switched to Jones Paint and Glass as one of our suppliers, so that's a big project that I just got finished with. And yeah, always doing projects.
That was an interesting one. I only saw that from far, far away. But a supplier really stepped on themselves, you know, and that's a lesson we could learn in reverse. You've had a couple of suppliers in the stain and that really did not react to their customer, did not really pay attention to their customer, and that's costly to any business. And so our businesses need to be dialed in to our customers with the highest level of attention, because you lose a customer, it takes you forever to get them back, and you may never. And usually the only way you can try to do it is to buy it back, which means you reduce your margins, and so you really screw yourself up in doing that. So well done, Jones Paint and Glass, and thanks for being here. Jake.
Jake Smith. I work at Wilding Wallbeds as well. I think I'm the last one of today. So, I'm the customer service manager, as well as been in charge of the delivery and installation department. My project management experience goes from home renovation projects to automotive detail projects to every day. You know, every customer I talk to is a project, because I don't want to talk to them again. So,
I think there's something wrong with that picture, but just we'll come back to that later.
well,
I know where you're
talk to
coming
them,
from.
Just have them say, "Hey, it's a great product." I don't want to talk to them saying something's wrong.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I know where you're coming from. I just had to be fun about that.
My name is Chelsea Gadsworth. I'm in between jobs right now, but I have a couple interviews, one at Balance of Nature, so we'll see how that goes. And I guess I have some project management experience. I did a lot of it in high school and took a lot of those classes.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. Brad.
I'm Brad. I do property management. I'm a maintenance supervisor at an apartment complex, and I do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly projects. Sort of oversee those.
A little bit of experience, but a little bit of budgeting as well.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
I'm Diego Vega. I work at Innomarking. I'm the production manager, and we do projects on a daily basis.
Okay. Possibly, we all don't know Innomark. You drive past them on River Road when you go south. You don't have a sign on the window.
No, we just moved.
Yeah, I
about
know.
a year ago.
There's sign companies in town, dude. No, I'm messing with you. Innomark is a contract blender of nutraceuticals in powder and in liquid, they've got a lab that's pretty cool. They can duplicate Coca-Cola if you wanted them to, and we're willing to pay them enough. They would do that. And you're in a regulated environment, much as Balance of Nature is, not regulated by the FDA pharmaceutical side of things, but nonetheless highly regulated in cleanliness and sanitation and things like that are a big part of the business. And as a contract manufacturer, what does that mean to you? What is the idea of the term contract manufacturer?
They're all projects, because each contract is a separate job.
Yeah, everything they do is different, and they don't have their own brand, which is why we haven't heard of Innomark. Innomark doesn't have their own brand. They're behind the scenes, and they will produce a product for me and my brand. My brand may be Monster Drinks, and they produce that. I made that up. I don't think you do Monsters, do you? But a drink company like that, maybe some brands that you would recognize at the store aren't made by that company. They're a marketing company only, and they go to contract manufacturers like Innomark to make their product for them to their spec. Now, there's an advantage of doing that. First of all, you don't have to finance a international marketing campaign. that's the job of your customer to do, to create their brand and take it to the market. You just have to make good stuff and make it competitively at a price, because you're not the only contract manufacturer there is, and of course who that you go to. And so it also means that you don't have to have your own true R&D department other than what you need to do in order to make their product for them. But you don't have to invent a recipe or invent your own stuff that's unique, that's patented or anything like that. Contract manufacturers, we have it in the medical device business, for example. Lots of medical products are made, some here in town, by contract medical device manufacturers. RAM has made some, Barry's Manufacturing has made some. They made heart components for artificial hearts. And you've made some medical, but there are a variety of medical device contract manufacturers. Jack Tip was another one here in town. So we have a variety of those, but it's kind of a different business model that we all ought to be aware of as a possibility. You might start one up. You know, who knows what you're going to do in your career.
I'm Josie Blackmore. I work at Costco. Current project is fixing the washer.
I like it. Go on.
My name's Joel Sanders. I work at SNS Steel, and I do payroll and benefits and HR stuff, and I do a lot of projects. Various.
Your life is projects.
Yes.
At work and not work, at work projects. All right, so thank you, all of you, for one thing. I want you to be aware that I'm aware that you stood up and you didn't want to. So thank you for doing that. You all stood up and addressed this entire room full of people, and nothing bad happened to anybody. So I want to encourage you to continue to do that, continue to contribute, continue to say things that come to your mind. When I call on you, there is another ground rule I didn't say. If I do call on you and you're not quite ready to answer at that moment, it's always okay to say pass. So my job isn't to put anybody on the spot or embarrass anybody at any point in time. We'll read things around the room sometimes, and when I do, if I catch you at a time when you just don't want to read something, that's fine. Just pass, and there's no stigma, no problem with that. The important part is to get something out of the class, right? We will take a break at about now, or in 5 or 10 minutes. We will take a break, and when we come back from our break today, we're going to work on a project, and we're going to divide into some project teams, and we'll have some project managers, and I'm going to throw you in to the challenge of project management, and we'll look at schedule management, cost management, and what time is that? But we'll look at schedule management, cost management overall in the project that you're going to do. So I'm going to run a count before you all go to break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I will divide the teams up based on that while you're at break. The couple more things that probably I think are appropriate as we evaluate what we are doing. I've got some handouts, and we will. They're not ready. I'm not ready for you to take them yet. But typically, if we're going to be in this room, I'll try to put the handouts on the gray table in the back if it's unoccupied, so that you don't have to guess which things up here are handouts and which one is, my personal grocery list or whatever it is. So we'll have handouts, and they will be back there. We will have a sign-in sheet when you come in to make sure that you check your presence, you mark your presence there so that you can get credit for attending the class. And I think that covers just about everything that I think that we have to cover, with the exception I want to show a short video on an active shooter and have a little training on that. So I think we'll take a break now. We'll come back to that, and we'll start our project. We're going to build paper towers as a project. So take 10 minutes right now. Ladies' room is that way. Men's room is that way. Larger rooms. There are smaller ones that way that are unisex rooms, neither male nor female. Just lock the door.
I'm Officer Cassie Schaefer with the Ohio State University fight.
It is in the best view. I like the you can.
Can see everything.
Do y'all need to fill these out? These papers?
What are those pictures?
You on that table over there.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay.
That means that Maddie put them there.
Okay.
Where was it you wanted us to note down our email address?
Is it
Just
not
on that?
It should be on that list if it's not.
Right next to our name?
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, if there's not a space for it, yeah. Thank you for asking that.
Are we getting these in there?
Not yet. Haven't passed them out yet. Don't know if I'm gonna get that far today. put 3 handouts on the gray table in the back if you want to grab one of those each. I may be one short. So whoever's not back from break yet won't get one. I'll fix that later, but right now, the app is here.
I'm gonna start putting myself in the middle. Me and Jake are starting to know me, so. I think it's, no, it's. I remember this last time we were here for lead training. When I came in, I was just like, bang, 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 hitting my knees underneath. It's like, oh, this is gonna be fun, fun. Yeah. That's my third major paper test, but my last class.
Here's one, I took an extra, if anybody needs it. Is this yours? Huh? I mean, seriously, could they not spare an extra for the
I think we're all back from break, thank you. And we may be one short on the handouts, and I will rectify that. I printed 15, I was told that's what we had registered, so I'm glad that we have 16. So that's a plus, but you won't be shorted in the future. I will print more, so we have it. We are going to divide into teams, and we are going to build paper towers as a project. And I am throwing you into a circumstance that you probably aren't experienced in. You'll have to use your wits and your partners on your team to try to figure out what I'm asking for and what the objectives are. We're gonna build a paper tower out of construction paper. You have a packet here of 36 sheets. You have to pay for every sheet you use. So that's part of project materials, right? When you're building a building, I have to pay for every beam that I buy from that steel. They just charge me for it. So all the materials going into my tower have a cost associated with it. And you'll see that in a few minutes. We are gonna build a tower 60 centimeters high. Why centimeters? Because lots of businesses work in the metric system, and most of us are not as fluent in it. So I am giving you a tape measure that has both inches and centimeters on it, but the objective is to build in centimeters. Some of you are comfortable with that. SKF here in town and Leverkin, when they were here making bearings, the entire company was in millimeters. That was our unit of measure. And that was for everybody, for everything. They put paper in their copy machine based on European standard, just to get everybody's thought process staying on millimeters. All their drawings were in millimeters. So our construction project is going to be in centimeters. You're going to have to solve something that maybe you aren't familiar with solving, and that is we're going to use an earned value management approach. And what earned value is about, it's a tool that we'll talk about more, but it's an idea of how far along in the project really are we? How much invested are we? And this would be true, let's say you're building a garage. You kind of know what the overall bid's going to be, but building materials just went crazy. And so what is that doing to your project? Should you string the project out? Does it make sense to do that? neighborhood I live in is building a new clubhouse, the HOA, the Homeowners Association. And we're a year behind schedule on that. That has become, the cost nearly doubled in that year. We've got real issues because of bad project management. And so the cost associated with not being able to drive and understand where we're at percentage-wise, I've got it half built and I've spent all the money. You know, kind of that's a bad message to have to give somebody. So earned value management is where are we in terms of a ratio of what we were supposed to be. And so we're going to kind of immerse ourselves in that. I'm going to ask you to make a couple of calculations, and I'm going to ask you to make them based on a few things. I'm calling for 6 people in a group, and I'm going to change that to 4. So there'll be 4 people on your team. Your objective is to build a paper tower at least 60 centimeters in height. Now, there's important 2 words there. At least 60 centimeters in height. Can it be taller? Yes. Can it be shorter? No. Using only the materials provided. Those are the materials you have right there. Your tower must be free of any outside support. Can't tape it to the floor, the wall, the ceiling, one of your team members. It's got to be freestanding. On the table is fine. On the floor is fine. Wherever you choose to make it freestanding, it just has to be freestanding. The tower must be able to withstand a moderate breeze. If one of us blows on it, walks past it, or the air conditioner kicks on, that could happen, and I don't want that to be an excuse to say why your flimsy little tower fell down. I want it to be engineered well enough that it doesn't do that. Only projects completed on time with the tower fully built according to the requirements will be considered in determining the winner. Projects also need to have a properly completed performance report. All projects have to have documentation, just the way it is. If we don't document, we can't say that it happened. Documenting doesn't always prove that it did happen, but it's something the court calls contemporaneous record. If we are keeping contemporaneous record of the project as we go, 9 out of 10 times that's admissible, maybe more than that. Most all the time that's admissible in court that says that you did do it. You wrote it down. You took notes. You measured. You were doing your best to comply. The criteria of who wins, equal weights on the largest number of SPIs and CPIs greater than 1 in all the stages. That doesn't mean anything to you yet. You're going to have to read. Or Google. We said cell phones were okay. And if you want to Google SPI and CPI, I gave you a handout that explains it. It's a 1-page handout. And you can look at that. The lowest total cost. And the tower that is the prettiest beauty to be evaluated by you guys to decide what is the best tower. We will have phases in this project that you're going to undertake. Phase 0 will be the first 15 minutes of your team getting together. It will be the project plan. You will have 3 minutes design and fill out your paperwork of what resources are you choosing to use, meaning how many sheets of paper, how much tape, how many paper clips. That's what's down there. Do you want to use the scissors or not? Scissors is, you got to rent that from, the equipment rental place, right? Beehive or one of them that you use. Construction, we're gonna build. It's gonna take 3 minutes and build the first 20 centimeters of your tower. At that point, there will be an audit of where you're at on your time and materials. Then you're gonna build the next phase. This is phase 3 of the construction. The next 20 centimeters, you're gonna build it up to 40 centimeters. You will again audit. And then finally, you will finish the tower at 60 centimeters and you will once again audit. Now, no technical activity can be executed during monitoring and controlling. So monitoring and controlling, that's when you're confirming and documenting what you built. How many paper clips will we use so far? We got 12. How many did we use? And you're gonna record that, write it down. And when I say audit, we're gonna have 4 teams, and one member of every team is gonna be the auditor. And you are gonna not audit your team, you're gonna audit another team. Keep them from lying, keep them from figuring and winning by cheating. So that is, unless they can outwit you as the auditor. So that's gonna be your call, be hard on them and make sure that they can. So you will determine who on your group is gonna be the project manager. That will have the following responsibilities: coordinate the revision and completion of the project plan. What's your tower gonna look like? Register the used resources. The project manager has to keep track of what you use. And the project manager coordinates the monitoring and control. That doesn't mean they have to do it. They coordinate to see that it's happening. Plan the human resource allocations. You're gonna assign group members to roles. There's gonna be principal engineers. They're gonna design, construct, and test the tower. The auditor that you assign is going to control the correct execution of the exercise by supervising and auditing another group. So you're gonna dispatch them out of your team, and they're gonna go look at another team and do the auditing for the other team. You're gonna plan the required resources, complete the cost baseline. You're gonna analyze the risks, and if necessary, you're gonna acquire protection to those risks. The materials, $2 a sheet for paper. You're gonna keep track of how much paper you use, and that means how much paper you throw away. If you take it and wind up that you ruin it or whatever, you bought it. Paper clips, $1. Tape, 5 centimeters of tape is $5. You cannot cut tape in less than 5 centimeter pieces. You can buy more, but each piece has to be 5 centimeters. If you want scissors, it's $20. You want a tape measure, that's $20. Only those materials can be used. The cost of 1 minute of a human resource is $10. So you'll be using people as you build, and they aren't free. They never are. Risk. Identify the potential risks and decide those for which preventive action should be taken. That's a team discussion. Acquire risk prevention for those that you identify. In case the risk actually happens, the prevention will protect your project against the impact of that. So you can buy insurance for lack of people, lack of materials, a change in spec, change in deadline, unexpected need of conformity to standards. So you can insure against that stuff. You don't have to, but you can. And that's a team decision led by the project manager. So discuss how you're going to construct the tower, document the result in a form of schematic drawing. You aren't working during this phase. Monitoring control is when you write down what resources you used and you calculate the SPI and the CPI. You have a template to do that in a minute. It's on your handout. The earned value management is what we are talking about here, where you have your planned value. It's what you plan for your garage to cost when you build it, your actual cost spent on the performed activities up to this point. So when we stop at 20 centimeters, that's not your total cost, that's just what you've spent to that point. And so when we see your house being built, we want to know what the builder spent to this point, right? At any given point in time, the project manager should be able to help us of what the earned value is. How much money have we sunk into this project right now? And sometimes it's a lot. In Las Vegas, when MGM was built in MGM City there by the Aria, they built a casino up to the 12th story and found out it structurally was not sound. The beams, the I-beam guys got busted on it. And today they scrapped the whole casino, and it's a parking lot. They built a multi-structured parking lot out of what was there because they could safely support that, but they couldn't support a building taller than that. So the whole casino scrapped. So what did they have in it at that point? and I don't remember what it was, but it was something like $600 million. We're into the 12th, to get it up to 12 stories. So that's your earned value at that point, and they never finished the project. It's right on I-15, it's on the left side, you can see it, and you can see the air fans on that building, and you can Google it up and read about it. It was a nightmare, engineering disaster in Vegas. So you take the actual cost, the earned value, the SPI, the scheduled performance index, that says how far along are we on our schedule, and that's your earned value divided by your planned value. Your CPI is your cost performance index, how much money we spent so far, your earned value divided by your actual cost today. So this is project management stuff, right? It makes sense. I'm throwing it to you now because I doubt that any of you have done that before. And we're gonna play with it with construction paper, right? And we're gonna do it together, and you're gonna monitor and control the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, as we've spelled it out, and you're gonna put your actual plan, your costs, your earned value calculations on that page. And then you've got some other pages for monitoring and controlling, and you're up to 60 centimeters. Everybody understand what we're doing? Okay, you don't know who your team is, and you're gonna have to select your project manager, your auditor, and the rest of the people on your team. We're gonna start with Brennan as 1, we're gonna count to 4, and we're gonna go right the way you introduced yourself, counting to 4, and that will become our teams.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3,
4.
1.
3.
Okay, so we got 4 corners of the room, team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4. Supplies are here. Remember, if you take scissors, it's gonna cost you $20. And that's fine, you can totally do that, or you can decide to put it. You have it. No, this is all you can use, all you guys with Leatherman on your belt, you can't use those. This is all you can use right here. But talk to your team before you decide to take materials. Here's where the materials are. You're welcome to take them once you decide what you're gonna use. Find chairs, sit down, make yourself comfortable. We are going to see how we do. First task, select the project manager, the auditor.
All right, here's the project manager.
All right, so we got Josh. Bring that. Chelsea.
I've got some ideas.
Okay. We need to choose a project manager. Just choose one. Yep. Select our project manager.
Well, so
So.
I did look it up.
Okay, all right, here I am. All right. So now, wow, okay.
I'm the money guy.
I don't know which one of these we go by. Let's do this one. Well, we have to go through phase 0 first. So we have to plan the human resources, assign group members to roles. One of you is going to have to be an auditor. So you need to go ahead and decide who pays close attention to detail and is able to focus and able to and able to really see things.
So is that just go in and you count how many things are using, how many does that make sure that they're
Basically, what you're doing is you're making sure that they're inventory and that their payment is correct on the group. So, because you can fabricate things to make it look like something else.
He's on the same team. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
you're that person then?
Okay. I've got this.
Okay, so.
I don't mind.
Words that I can't. Words that the number is.
I mean, really, you would just have to keep
choosing which team. Yeah.
How do we figure out which team we audit? Do we just do the next one next to it?
Once you determine the auditors, we'll just switch counterclockwise.
Okay. Should we have our auditors sit like when we figure that out? Should we have them like move to like a central location or something?
No, they can observe. Make sure you're not cheating.
Okay.
Make sure our own team isn't cheating? All the other teams. Oh.
Okay. So we found that you are the auditor, principal engineer, engineers, design, and instruct, and test out. Okay, so if I'm the project manager, then you must be principal engineer. So who's the principal engineer? Is a principal engineer, is that a lead engineer?
Yeah, that'd be certified.
Okay.
In this case, we're not certified.
Okay.
Yep. Principal engineer often has to do with equity or the principal engineer often has something to do with equity or a profit bonus on the project. Lead engineer often has not. But there may be other designations other than that.
Plan the required resources and complete the cost basis.
Can we take one of these right now? Not to use it, but just to look at it?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. Decide how much you're gonna use.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking for the base is if we need to measure the paper, right, and see which way, say, we'll cut it in half and then or the tower widen, because if it's tall, if it's thin and tall, it's just gonna tip over. So you need a base to be somewhat large. So if we can cut the paper in a way like maybe in half, some paper clips on the base and corners, two on each side to create a weight in the bottom. I think that would be a sturdy base. However, you work with doors and glass, and so you're struggling. Like you have experience in structures, and so what do you think?
So I like the idea of going with, but they're absolutely.
So have 4 units and then have some real cost of that, and then it can be, but you connect the base.
It's in the back here. Yeah, all the cost is right here. So the cost of the tape is
$5.
And we can really go with it.
it's a paper tower. It doesn't have to be seen all the way.
Because if anything, we probably put the paper clips.
To get the weight there.
Right. So is this one sheet of paper right here? So each sheet is $2. I really like this idea because we can get our 60 centimeters really quickly with a very strong, low center of gravity base. The only thing I would change is putting a bit pillar in the center.
If we also use scissors, why are those small pieces? Makes sense. Right. Full sheet when across.
But to really allocate our resources, we want to use as much of that sheet of paper as possible. And like, you know, so all right, so
So this one I think is to keep track of everything that's on the job. And I don't know, are we supposed to audit our own and then audit theirs, or are they just? Are we supposed to audit our own project at the same time while we audit theirs? Okay.
The thing I want us to pay attention to is that our duration estimate should fall below 6 months. It says here, duration estimate 6 minutes. Well, either way, this is a way to make it, well, to make it in general, like, we're going to finish the project. But yes, I think we will be starting to. Okay.
So are the dates, okay, so those can be found out. Okay. Do we want to get a snack?
So,
How long have we been going? I didn't even know.
so let's get a, well, we've been here for, I'm gonna estimate 5 to 7 years. So let's go ahead and plan our required resources and complete the cost baseline. I mean, it's not, I think it's paper, I don't think either way is required. I mean, it's not, there's no rule that says you have to use scissors to cut the paper. Okay. If we don't use all the paper, it's a great time.
My second thought was, days, you don't have to actually fold it. If you need more than that, just say what we can do.
Did I check the
If we,
Okay, we're 10 minutes into your initial phase, so you've got 5 minutes left to accomplish whatever you can accomplish.
are we, if we buy paper in bulk, are we able, or I guess every team is gonna get a packet of paper, but we have to purchase each sheet. If we say purchase 10 sheets and we only use 5, are the other 5 returnable?
We'll accept that, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So you
We'll-
purchase these things up front?
We'll accept that. I mean, you're documenting what you're using.
Right, yeah,
And
we're,
you're
you know, trying to
projecting what you
plan
use.
what our cost baseline is gonna be, so we need
Yeah.
to know how much to purchase up front.
Yeah, and we'll adjust back what you've not used at the end. Subtract that out. Earned value, if you've actually bought it, you've tied your money up in it. If you're doing like, some suppliers, Burton Lumber sometimes will leave block there, that you haven't paid for. They'll consign it. And then once you use it, then they take up what you don't use. I mean, different contractors work on different agreements, yeah.
So tape, you said platform, we use tape, and then we'll have to use tape on the tower part.
I'm thinking for paper clips, one on each pillar underneath for added weight and block.
Right, but if you.
For a sturdy foundation. No. So there's 3 pillars, right? I mean, 4 pillars, right? So one on the outside, like, and not adjacent, but like direct parallel to the corner, right? So paper clip here, 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 for added weight at the
On
top.
both outside edges.
Yeah, like, so if the corners are here on the pillars, paper clip would be here, but on the bottom of the pillar directly across. Like, from the corner, does that make sense?
So 2 for each pillar?
Right, no, just one, so one on the outside, right?
That's four total?
Yeah, 4. You're thinking about paper clipping the tape together rather than taping it. For the tile, right? You are
Yeah, so the idea of it,
We've got about a minute and then we can move on to the last step.
necessary require protection. First would be
But we didn't decide how many.
the tape will have to,
How tall is this pillar gonna be?
so depending on how we cut it or how the size of the piece of paper is, we're probably gonna cut it hot dog style.
So it needs to be done in 20 centimeter sections, the bottom tower. The first piece needs to be done in 20 centimeter sections, yes.
So then if we go with hamburger style, I don't know how else.
I don't know how we would get sturdiness with the pillars at 20 centimeters when there's 4 of them without an apron.
14 minutes.
Because otherwise we're gonna be just freezing essentially. Not
We're
really
done with
looking at
plans.
writing anything.
What if we're done with plans?
Next stage is design
Foundation
itself.
matters.
You mean the tower is gonna be free floating?
Wait, can we grab a tape measure? You got paragraph there.
But you've been
At the
thinking.
bottom, it's, like we had, or tears, 4 sides, and then pull them back like this.
So if we were to cut it.
Care what color we use?
What if we cut the paper, cut our first 2 sheets away, build the base, like the pillars, and then we attach the pillars with folded over pieces of paper, construction paper, and then tape.
Okay, we are at 15 minutes. The task at this point in time is to double down on the design itself that you're gonna do. Discuss how you would construct the tower, document the result in the form of a schematic drawing. So you're gonna decide how you're gonna build it, and somebody on your team is gonna draw it. At this point in time, I would like the auditors to rotate one group to counterclockwise. So The auditor from here comes here, the auditor from here goes there, auditor from there goes there, auditor from there goes there. Now, the auditors have some internal knowledge now. They've come from a competitor. They have some knowledge of how the competitor is thinking about going about it. But remember, there's 4 teams here, so the auditor only has knowledge of one of them. The auditor's job is to make sure that you do record what you use, because the auditor is protecting the best interest of your original team. You don't want the other teams to be pulling a fast one and beat your team by lying about their resources or in some way cutting a corner. So auditors, go ahead and change, and then we are going to spend 3 minutes. No construction activity can take place during this 3 minutes, but this 3 minutes is to decide your final design and draw it. So you've got some, and hopefully the drawing is going to use the materials that you're planning to use. You know, but that's up to you.
Well, I mean, I guess
And the auditor might call you out if you use something else. So give auditors a chance to introduce themselves and get acquainted with what's going on. All right, I'm going to start the clock at 3 minutes. You'll have 3 more minutes for auditing now after you're done with it. No, all the way through.
What I need y'all to do is take this design and put measurements on it. So, you guys know how long it's gonna be.
We're 2.5 minutes.
there you go. There's nothing we're lacking. There you go. Sawdust. It's glitter for men. There you go. There you go.
Okay, we're at 3 minutes. The next 3 minutes is going to be no construction activity. You're going to make sure you've written down the resources that you are using in phase 1. And your monitoring and starting the calculation of the SPI and CPI. You need new suppliers. I bought that whole pile for $1.
So can we grab our materials now?
You can't start construction.
Can we get into, I wanna use all the same color.
Okay, yeah, you can open that for sure. I have some backups if you need more of it. We're at 2.5 minutes. Some people, they're not starting construction, but they're taking delivery of materials, so if you want to do that, you can.
Okay, so is this,
And we're going to, I'm gonna count these so that we can ensure that I'm only grabbing 10 pieces. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, got 10 pieces right there.
Yep, I counted them all.
Okay, we are at 3 minutes, so our monitoring phase should be drawn to a close for right now. We're gonna go into construction phase. I'll give you a few minutes to collect your materials
We're gonna take this.
and for everybody to get their materials and get back to where they're gonna
And
actually
he's got the measuring
begin
tape.
construction. But don't begin until I say so, everybody's got a chance.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave this here, and if I have to come back up for more, I will. Each time you cut, you need to ensure that you're bringing it also.
Seven.
6. Wait, how much tape?
Not on the same page.
Purple, right?
Oh, okay.
So we need 12.
Thought you were making-
Matched. You want the same color? This is what I got.
3 purple and 5 black.
Okay, our design should be set. We should have projected our costs. We should have sustained an audit. The auditor thinks we're being legit so far. The next step is going to be to begin construction. And you're going to begin construction of the first 20 centimeters. And there's no rule that says you can't construct more than 20 centimeters, but you must construct the first 20 centimeters in phase 2. So we're getting ready to go on phase 2, and we're going to construct a tower with 20 centimeters height. We're going to register the material and human resources used for that. However, there's an event. The principal engineer suffered an accident. Cannot participate in this phase. Groups who acquired the prevention for the risk of lack of human resources, nothing happens. If you bought the insurance, you're good. If you didn't, the team member assigned as principal engineer does not participate. It says come to the front of the room, but you don't have to, step to the side. Yet the cost of these members is still registered as a used resource. So they can't get hands-on the construction process. I will allow them to observe if you did not buy insurance. Did anybody buy insurance for human resources? No? So everybody's in the same boat anyway. It's a level playing field. You have 3 minutes to build the first 20 centimeters or more.
No, she got it. She can help.
So do they get to subtract the human resources?
No, it is. It says it's part of the cost.
You're gonna charge them, but for the time, if they're not gonna have it.
Oh, my coach? Ooh, there you go.
There you go, now you got slaves.
Are we allowed to build?
No, the team's alive. Oh, yeah.
Are we?
Yeah, start building. Yeah. Building the first 20 centimeters.
You do that 4 times.
Hey, is that a dead guy talking over there?
No,
I'm not dead. I'm injured.
he's injured. He's doing light duty.
There you go. You said I could.
I did.
I'm doing it.
I did.
Everywhere it is. I mean, spaced out.
Got a 3-minute phase here to be building, and you're burning through it.
Beautiful. Absolutely love it. Don't be looking over here. Right, yeah, here you go.
Minute and a half, halfway through.
Yep, no, right on up there. There it is. Boom, success.
You got the clock can stop on your human resource.
There you go. So we save a minute.
So the auditor is making sure that 5 centimeters of tape is 5 centimeters of tape. If you use more than that, you're welcome to, you just have to get charged for it. It's $1 a centimeter, I think, basically.
Well, I guess that's like your estimate, so you actually, you're actually.
So there was 2 people that were working on it, for 3 minutes. I'm injured, I'm not.
He's being charged, labor's being charged.
Okay, so they're still being charged, right? So it's only 2 minutes. So you're,
He's on light duty.
so we save 35.
Okay, we're at 3 minutes on phase 2 for construction. The next thing we do is we now monitor and control. So we make sure that we're recording what materials we did use. And the auditor is making sure that you're not lying about it. Remember, tape is $1 a centimeter for tape. And if you find you're behind, some projects go behind.
Do I still not have hands?
What's that?
Well, for the principal engineer, are we still like handless?
No, principal engineer's back to work.
Back to the
Yeah.
Do you count every time you use the scissors? Is that what that is?
No, that's just equipment rental.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we pay for monitoring?
No, you don't pay for the monitor. You pay for just the 3 of you on the team.
Okay, just design and construction?
Just what?
Just design and construction only?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I budgeted that we're good.
And management, okay.
It's not pretty.
Okay, you're doing 3 minutes of paperwork right now. You're writing down, keeping track of what you did, adding people's hours up, see what they spent. Principal engineer is back involved.
You guys not buying any tape?
I can come back?
Yeah, you come back. All right. For the monitoring and control, and the next phase you'll be back in. Yeah, that Zoom meeting you've been on. Technically, at this point, no construction activity is to take place. We're doing paperwork right now.
I think 5 centimeters, 1.1.
No construction activity, so we just made ourselves more expensive. That's in our budget. So like this, those extra 3 that were in our budget.
You're building the twin towers there, right? You're 20 centimeters so far.
We are we?
Okay, we're at 2 minutes, 1 minute left in the paperwork side. 3 minutes, so hopefully you have updated and been audited on your cost where you're at so far. You should be able to give us an idea of how much money you have spent. You should give us an idea of how much time you have spent if you're if you're on pace to be done in time. So we're going to phase 3 of construction, where we are going to construct a tower with 40 centimeters height. We're going to register any material and human resources used. But we have an event. Your client just called you to inform you that the rules of the competition have been changed, now requiring the construction of a tower of at least 70 centimeters in height. Groups who acquired the prevention for the risk of requirement changes, nothing changes, continuing with the requirement to construct a tower of 60 centimeters of height. In other words, you don't have to make a 70, you can make a 60 if you bought insurance. All other groups now have to construct a tower of at least 70 centimeters in height. So that might affect your budget, I don't know. We have 3 minutes, and you need to come up with 40 centimeter tower by the end of phase 3, 3 minutes from now. And the clock is running. Did anybody buy insurance?
Everyone's alive, the only difference is now we're selling it.
Yeah, that's the only difference.
But that needs to be recorded, you need to update it. Like, we're gonna need you to, we do 4 pillars.
Give it 1 minute, 2 to go.
Well, we're just gonna probably use everything we
Yes, go
have
ahead.
as a
Do what you need to do. You feel like it's not. It's leaning a little bit, yeah, there. All right. Okay.
Yeah, we're in phase 3 right now.
Sure. There you go. All right. 2 minutes, yeah? Oh, he's got his time over here. Oh, we beat it by 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's attach these ends.
Did have to run.
He's running 2 by.
Mine's got one more level to go. Right?
Okay, you got an extra 30 seconds on that one. You're at 3 minutes. Phase 3 construction. You should be at 40 centimeters with your tower. We're gonna 3 minutes to document your resources that you used. Start calculating your SPI and your CPI at the state you are right now. How much paper have you used? Not how much do you have ready, but how much have you used? How much material have you used to get to this state? So each of you work on that. You got 3 minutes. Auditors, making sure you're recording accurately your time and materials so far. Two minutes. Say that again? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, as long as you keep track of it. No construction activity is technically supposed to be happening. All right, we're almost. We are at 3 minutes. So we are now going to phase 4, where you're building another, whatever it is, to come up with a 70 centimeter tower. Unless you bought insurance. If you bought insurance, 60 is fine. If you didn't buy insurance, 70 is necessary.
You wrap this around.
Is that 70?
No. We bought insurance though.
Did you? Yeah. Right out, okay. Okay, very cool. All right.
We're not in the next phase yet.
What's that? Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah. We're on phase 3, phase 4 right now. Turned out I haven't started to stop.
Yeah.
need to fix this, and then we put paper and put this thing together. Okay, so then, put a lid on the bad boy. Ground floor. Top floor.
Just use your fingers and press that
That's
together.
what I'm saying. We're done? How much time we got left?
At least 2 minutes. Yep, you got 2 minutes left. You only took 1
2 minutes
minute.
left, so that took us 1 minute, not 3.
Yeah. Charge yourself 1 minute for that. Final stage.
So that guy,
We got the paper clips. There you go. Nice theory, right?
Nobody went for this.
Beautiful.
So make sure your documentation, next page is the final page.
She's been hawk eyeing us. She's rooting for her team.
Okay.
I said, you're rooting for your team. Is in order, yeah.
Wow, is this, are you guys in it? Is this an Italian tower, huh? Oh, dude.
I'll have to come over there and double check that.
They're rocking that tower, I'm telling you.
Okay, wait, you said
Yeah, I did, but,
a light blow or a deep blower?
yeah, I think a light blow is appropriate. I could, you got a little lean on that thing and, whoa, did you just blow on it?
I don't know what I did. I think just like my movement.
Your magnetic field.
Oh, you did? Wow. Okay.
All right, we're at 3 minutes.
This is certainly one
So
of the challenges.
what happens after this is monitoring control. What did you end up? The acceptance criteria is a freestanding tower at least 70 centimeters unless you bought the insurance, which this team did. Direct and complete performance reporting. And the winner is the best productivity, which you may not still be comfortable on how to calculate that. I'm going to let that go because we're late in the day. And the CPIs, we'll circle back to that at another class. But we need a read on who came in the cheapest and who came in the most beautiful. So everybody gets a vote on who's got the prettiest tower. Well, you guys rebuilt yours.
They did.
Wow.
You turned your backs, boom, there it was.
They did. I don't know if they got charged for that or not. They got an auditor. We can see how it goes. So you might be thinking about who's got the most beautiful, but let's get some cost numbers. I want 4 cost numbers.
Okay, so we need $59.
Write them down. Team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 4. When you've got your cost number, come up here if you would please and write it by your team.
So all we need to do is one piece cost plus labor. Cost plus labor. Cost is $59. And then whatever we, oh, it's less? It was supposed to be no. That's 59. I'm sorry, 57 is 15 pieces of paper and 12 papers.
You're the one that's accounting.
I had this done before we sat in teams.
Right on. If you got a cost, come write it on the board, please.
27.
That one's got all that.
Yeah, beautiful. Perfect. 15. 15 sheets, 12 paper clips, no tape, no scissors. What's that? Well, yeah, it's not gold, yeah. Right? No tape, no scissors. Yeah. No tape measure. Yes.
We made everything very cool.
I mean,
Well, yeah, we've got one together. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna be pretty cheap. Right.
I think that's a
better
good
material.
They bought it.
Well, not necessarily.
They're good stuff right there.
You got a number?
Well, I think, well, it's payroll added in there, right?
Yeah.
And so you go based off of the chart, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's
It is what it is, right?
That's just the material. That doesn't include the material.
Man hours is the majority of cost.
$44. So we actually lost, you know, what I mean, $19. We lost the
But
price
like,
of that
each
the
round,
material.
Don't understand how ours is so high.
2.5 minutes or 2 minutes per round.
What do we get, Mitch? 748?
Yeah.
What?
We use a lot of tape.
Use a lot of tape. All right.
Took a lot of breaks.
Took a lot of breaks.
All right, we've got 4 numbers, and they range all over the map. The cheapest isn't necessarily the best, but in some cases where it's real cool, the cheapest is the best. We find that in a lot of markets. The high volume producer figures out how to make things more efficiently, therefore they're priced lower. Not sure what that is in this case, but we don't have a read on the prettiest. What do y'all think? We've got exhibit 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's talk about, tell us why yours is the most beautiful there. Tell us what the features and benefits you got there.
Engineer?
It is colorful.
It's colorful, okay? So you went with colorful. Why should yours get voted the most beautiful?
It resembles the Indian color of
It does, in fact, it does. All right, so it's a classic piece of art, is what it is. Okay. How about yours?
It's got lots of colors, strong foundation.
Every possible piece of color. What did you say about the foundation?
Strong.
Very strong foundation, because you've got a lot of cost in your foundation. If your auditor made you pay for it. Oh, you guys changed your price?
Yeah, we use actually lower.
Okay, all right. And then why is this one beautiful?
It's the most uniform sheet color.
Okay.
Accenting trim.
So paper clips match the trim and go with it. All right. All right.
And it is the tallest.
And it's the tallest. And it's the cheapest. Okay, and your bid is it's most beautiful. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I vote for Team 3. for beautiful.
Which is team 3? That's you, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we'll sort that out with Pink Box Donuts, and we'll figure out if you guys still feel that way next time. Well done, congratulations. So what we want to do is we're about out of time. I've got a quick video on active shooter that I want us to see before we go. This book, Earned Value Management for Dummies. This book is a PDF. It's a 74-page book. You can buy it.
What's that?
But I am posting it up on Canvas if you want to look at it. This is what you just did, earned value management. Some of you hadn't heard that word before tonight. It's a whole component of project management. It's not the essence of project management. It's a piece of it. It's an idea for us to know 2 months into the project, how far along are we? Are we overspending or underspending? And there's a curve that is a target curve for the development of a project. And it has to do with time and completion, percent completion. And basically there are some rules of thumb. We at 1/4 into the project, we should be about 1/3 of our cost into the project. 3/4 into the project, we should be at 2/3 of our cost. So there's some numbers like that that are kind of rules of thumb. They're not rules, but they're rules of thumb. And I'll show you the graphs for that later in another class. But this is just an introduction, right? This is just kind of a baptism into project management. You did one. And there was some frustrations. If, in the back of your mind, you say, if you'd have just given me the paper and some tape and some paper clips and let me go by myself, it would have taken me less than the 40 minutes we spent. And I could have come up with a tower, of course. But we wouldn't have any documentation. We wouldn't have any proof. We wouldn't have consensus of a group. And so in project management, it's the solo doesn't work. We have to pull the solo cowboy out of it, because this is a game of documentation, documentation, documentation. If you don't do that, you will go to jail, or you will go broke, or you will get sued and lose everything going broke, because we can't prove what we did in a project. The school that we're in right now, had a building on Tonnequin. It was the campus before this campus was built. The buildings are still there. They're owned by the city of St. George. And when we moved in, it was a brand new building built by K. Traveler. When we moved into that building, the roof started leaking. Now in St. George, you're lucky because leaky roofs don't really often catch up with you. It never rains. So, you're okay on a leaky roof. The roof is a flat roof on that building. I personally went up on the roof and I found that there was plywood on the roof that was painted. There was not a membrane. It wasn't to spec. It wasn't to code. And it was completely leaking. And so we went to the landlord, which was the city of St. George, and said, hey guys, this building's leaking and you need to fix the roof. St. George is going, brand new building. We're not going to fix the roof. The builder, K. Traveler, is going to have to fix the roof. K. Traveler goes, we contracted that out to a reputable roofer. And a reputable roofer says, we're not going to pay for that. City signed off on it, gave us a CO. And so I said, okay, Ross Perot style, let's get all the liars in the same room and let them talk. So I called a meeting, got everybody in the same room. What we found out was that the roofer knew that the city of St. George had a rule for safety that their building inspector couldn't climb a ladder and get on the roof. He was disallowed to get on the roof for OSHA purposes. And so he never went up on the roof. The roofer knew he wouldn't go up on the roof, so the roofer cut a corner. Interesting, huh? Project management should have caught that. Project management should have made sure that didn't happen. And I'm not pointing fingers any longer at the culpable parties. They've all been good at what they did at various times, but that was a great example of a project gone wrong. And K. Traveler's project manager should have caught that in the building job, and it cost them $1.5 million because they didn't. And so that's what comes back and bites us if we don't do the paperwork and we don't cross the T's and dot the I's and do it right. If we cut a corner eventually it will come back and bite us, which is just kind of the way it ought to be, right? That's serendipity. You know, liars shouldn't prosper, in my opinion. There's business ethics. We're not talking about that in this class right now, but we will at a later time. It is 8, is it 8:08?
Yep.
We're not gonna have a video, we're gonna go. We're gonna call it, and if you got questions or whatever, let me know, and I'll be happy to try to address whatever your questions are. My phone number is usually on handouts. If, I don't know if it is today or not, but if you do not have my phone number, I am 435-414-7200. That is my cell phone number. You are all welcome to text me anytime you've got a question, or you're going to be late for class, or you've got something else going on. Thank you all for being here tonight. Welcome to project management. We're going to learn a lot together. We'll try to do activities similar to this and keep it paced so that it's not all me talking. Next class on Thursday, we're going to start talking about Agile and learn about what that is. Have a good night.
Well, we